I'd like to welcome everyone out tonight. Looks like we have a really good crowd, so we appreciate everybody coming out. And want to start off our meeting with our pastor, Scott Balcom from New Home Baptist Church, is going to do our invocation.
Thank you, JD, and I'm honored with the opportunity to be here with you tonight. I want to say on behalf of the folks in our area, we appreciate you. We know this is a tough job. It's difficult. No stretch of the imagination can afford us the opportunities to know what you go through from time to time on a monthly basis. But we appreciate you, and we love you, and we are praying for you. I didn't come to preach by any means, but I do want to share some scripture passage. This comes from one of the greatest evangelists that ever lived, Pastor Paul, and this comes from 1 Timothy chapter 2. It says, I urge you first of all to pray for all people, to ask God to help them, to intercede on their behalf and give thanks for them, to pray this way for kings and for all that are in authority, so that we can live peaceful and quiet lives marked by godliness and dignity. And this is good and pleases God our Savior, who wants everyone to be saved and to understand the truth. For there is one God and one mediator who can reconcile God and humanity, the man Christ Jesus. He gave his life to purchase freedom for everyone. If this is not out of order, I would ask that everyone, if you would, to please stand with me as we pray together. Let's pray. Father God, we love you for who you are. We thank you for the ability to breathe breath. We thank you for the ability to live another day. And as we come to you right now, we ask your blessings, your spirit upon this meeting tonight. These commissioners, these leaders, these that have come to be in attendance to share their thoughts and concerns. But most of all, we thank you for the ability to pray. It's only through our Savior Jesus Christ, through his death, that he is our mediator, that we come to you in prayer, Lord. So we pray that each and everything that occurs here tonight will not only be pleasing of your will, Lord, but it will be guided of your will, that you will be held to the utmost respect. No matter if our thoughts differ, if our parties differ, if our languages differ, our colors differ, makes no difference. We all serve one God, and you are the one true God. Forgive us where we fail you, Lord, and lead this meeting tonight and each and every month. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah, Peter's been going up there about 59 years. I never met him.
This might be a little unusual, but since we had a pretty serious incident over the weekend, if we could just have a quick moment of silence to pray for all those that were affected by that incident that took place, Lord. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so tonight we'll start with our approval of the agenda. First, I would read the conflict of interest statement like I usually do. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and the appearance of a conflict. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any undue participation in that particular matter involved. So at this time, does any commissioner have a conflict from the agenda? If not, then is there going to be any commissioner concerns added to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Little.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add under Commissioner Concerns a solid waste management ordinance to discuss it.
Mine's already open at a corner right.
Yes. Okay, Commissioner Little, Commissioner Cottle, any other commissioner concerns for tonight? Okay, those two have been added to the agenda. In the agenda itself, when we get ready to make the motion to pass the, well, let's go with that first. So the approval of the agenda, as it appears with the two added concerns, do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Gatewood. All those, or any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Okay. So on the consent agenda, what I was going to do is ask that we take out the letter of resolution of support for the dedication of the bridge to Sheriff Reed and do that separately, because that way Attorney Forbes can then read that letter to the audience, and that way we'll be able to separate that out from the consent agenda. And then in the consent agenda itself, in the motion to pass the consent agenda can be made with the updated or amended minutes as they appear on your desk. There was an amendment to the minutes from the previous meeting that all the commissioners have on their desk. So when we get ready to approve the minutes, it'll be according to those amended minutes on the desk here. So at this time, with the consent agenda minutes being amended, the property tax refunds and adjustments, and putting the bridge resolution separately, does anyone make a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Gatewood, second by Commissioner Cottle. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries for consent agenda. Okay, at this time, I'll read the citizen concern statement, and we'll start with our public addresses to the board. Each citizen shall be allowed 3 minutes for their presentation. Each speaker during the public comment period shall be limited to 1 appearance, and the commissioners are expected not to comment on matters brought before the board at this time, but to delay any action or comment until staff has had an opportunity to research the subject matter and to report necessary and relevant information to all members of the board. So at this time, if Ms. Jackson could please come speak.
Good evening to Commissioner Chair Bricken and to fellow commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening. Chairman Bricken, thank you for the moment of silence in acknowledging the incident that occurred over the weekend with mass shootings. You never think something like that would happen in Anson County, so it was truly a sad event. So, and I thank you for acknowledging the event. I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Carol Smith at the Burnsville Recreation and Learning Center for exposing the youth in the Burnsville community to politics at its finest. But I am here tonight to address 3 topics, and I will respectfully try to do that within the time that is allotted. Let me start by saying I know firsthand that leadership is hard and difficult decisions must be made. I know that more times than not, everyone is not happy with every decision that you make. Respectfully, I share with you the concerns of myself and the DSS staff regarding a 10% increase in salaries for one of 22 county departments in the name of reorganization. I am aware that there is a petition that has been signed and that is going around to also express concern regarding the increase. I am not prepared to speak on everyone's behalf, but tonight just on behalf of myself and the DSS staff. But I'm sure that a lot of the same concerns are shared. I wish I had the anger to zealous, not zealous, vocabulary to adequately describe the range of emotions expressed by the DSS staff. I too had a request for reorganization in DSS, but was told that due to current situations with funding / late audits, no requests were being considered at this time. I believe the decision to do a salary increase for one department was made without forethought on the impact it would have on fellow employees without a plan as to when and at what rate other departments would be reorganized and or how the current and long-term costs would be covered. The action to select one department over another makes employees feel that they are less important and their contribution to the county doesn't mean a thing. It decreases morale and slows productivity. It was shared that the reorganization was approved based on the need for recruitment and retention. I'm confident that each county department will share that they have the same need. As a member of the Central Carolina Workforce Development Board, I can share that for the past few years, both public and private sector employees are having problems with recruitment and retention. So that justification alone is insufficient. Yes, thank you. On April 18th, the 2021 audit was presented, and afterwards, Sharon Edmondson, Secretary of the Local Government Commission, spoke and shared her concern about the late audits and the ability for the county to pursue debt financing. She stated good decisions should be based on current, accurate information. Again, I was told that there would be no new position reclassifications or salary increases until the audits were caught up. I don't know the cost of the 10% increase, but I do surmise that a lower percentage increase could have impacted more than one department.
That's 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought when you said, I will say that I would ask that an increase in COLA to 5% be considered for all employees and the other departments be maintained at the 12.5%. The vacation leave era is another situation that I think was not handled appropriately or adequately. I would ask that employees be allowed an opportunity to select which bank that leave comes from that has to be reimbursed to the county. The only other thing that I will add and wanted to share was the opportunity to let you know that Department of Social Services is appreciative of the funds that were made available for the DSS renovations. We are almost at completion of those renovations, and hopefully by the 1st of August we will be able to invite the public to see, come in and see where those funds have gone. I thank you for your time, and do ask that when we make decisions that are human resource related, that we make sure that we consider the human that will be impacted. Thank you for your time.
Miss Carol Smith? Yes, ma'am. Burnsville Learning Center.
Thank you so very much. County Commissioner, Chair, Manager, each one of you. I really appreciate the opportunity to stand and talk to you just a little bit tonight. I really do. Man, it's good to see you. Good to see all of you, but especially Mr. Smith. Hadn't seen him in a while.
Thank you.
I'm here, standing here as the leader of the Burnsville Learning Center. We're in our summer fun day camp, which we have about 3 more weeks and will be completed. It's been very successful. We, as an organization, continue to make a difference in Anson County. Remember, these are children. We were once children. We were once children. Sometimes we get into our way of thinking that we forget that children are going to be children. So let's continue to take time and love on them, no matter who they are, no matter how they look, no matter what they may say sometime. If they need a little correction, just do that in love. And as we do that, this will make our county in years to come a whole lot better. I really appreciate Ms. Jackson and that she said, and I'm going to get to where I come in. This is to the Burnsville Learning Center partners. First, we give honor to you for continuing to support this organization. We've been in Anson County approximately 30 years. We continue to make a difference. This community of Anson and the surrounding counties, such as Stanley Union and others, are being changed weekly through your generous giving to the Burnsville Learning Center. Children from low-income families, adults are able to receive nutritious meals daily. Children are getting help with homework during the school time. This will also increase their academic activities when they are in school. Our summer fun camp provides children with 6 weeks of lunch, exploration outing, and hands-on activities. The making of new friends creates lasting and good relationships. That's what we are doing today. Creating good and lasting relationships. The making of adult education, which is held through the South Piedmont Community College for adults. We also provide quarterly sessions through South Piedmont for continued computer skill classes. The Next Gen training program for youth. The Next Gen program is through the NC Works that provide assistance with career path and train ages from 16 to 23.
3 minutes, ma'am.
All right, well, here I go. The Museum of the Burnsville Recreation and Learning Center. We are here. Is 3 minutes up?
Yes, ma'am.
So my 3 minutes is up.
It has been 3 minutes.
So I
I'm
need to
just
sit.
notifying you. It's 3 minutes, ma'am.
I don't want to disobey you.
Ma'am, I'm not giving you any orders. I'm just merely telling you.
Well, I want to just let you all know that Burnsville Recreation and Learning Center is in the process of creating a museum in the Burnsville community. This museum will host all of the information that may have been lost, especially not only for African Americans, but for people in Anson County. We have already had the opportunity to acquire property, and this property is why I'm here tonight. I'm not asking you all as an organization, but I'm asking you all as a part of Anson County. The owner of this is asking us for at least $90,000, and we have already begun to work on getting the funds together. We are asking Anson County, whenever you see a solicitation letter coming to you, we will love for you to really consider helping the Burnsville Learning Center acquire the property that will house the history of ancestors, that will house the history of those that are still here, that will house the history of those that are still yet to come. So we want to create a museum / gift shop, walking trail, and some other things for the Burnsville community and Anson County. So I won't continue to hold you. Thank you so very much for your time. And I will be sending you all a letter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Now, Pastor McLeod, please.
Good evening.
Evening.
I come to you with concerns that hit my spirit and touched my heart, and so I came here, I believe a month ago, and read In God We Trust and thought about the people that we're having here, and then an issue hit me. I saw a post and someone said on the post, make some sense out of these raises, and I didn't know the background, and I saw what happened, and I said, wow. And then I went to the book that the pastor read, and in Matthew, and it tells us about a house divided. And he said it was words from the greatest missionary. These are words from the Savior. And he says in Matthew 12:25, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided among themselves shall not stand. Maybe you had a good reason for the differences in the raises and did not communicate it to your employees. If so, that lack of communication has caused some hard feelings and some people and departments feeling devalued. I know or hope that was not your intent. I've always felt that elected officials were there to represent the feelings and the desires of his constituents, but I'm learning more than ever representatives are not considering their constituent wishes and are voting on their own beliefs. It's okay to have beliefs, but hopefully when you are representing the people, your vote or decision will be for the majority of the people you represent. This may be a novel thought, but to we the people, it makes sense. I read, as I said, a post that said, make some sense out of the raises. I just talked to a young lady, she didn't know why all these people were here, and I told her, she said, wow. And that's what's been said, wow. And again, you may have a reason, and it may make sense, but the lack of communication that caused some hard feelings and some disgruntled employees. And that great, even greater than the great missionary said, a house divided will crumble and won't stand on its own. So when you make decisions, think about all of them. And again, maybe you had a good reason, but it doesn't look good. And again, in God we trust. Thank you.
Ms. Harris? Oh, I thought it said Joy, I'm sorry. Jay, I'm sorry.
It's my penmanship.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you everyone for the few minutes that I get, and also thank you everyone for what y'all do, and also our condolences for the families and everyone that was involved with what happened over the weekend. I'm here, my name is Jay Ayers with Millions for Missions, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I actually live real close to Ansonville, and we've been here for about 3 years now. And one thing that we are very heavily hearted about is all people, but we are real heavily hearted for the children in the area, and of course for adults also, but mainly children. We do have the opportunity to help over in the Ivory Coast and West Africa and a couple other countries in Africa. But so this is pertaining to Anson County. We're looking to build a recreation center, and this recreation center is going to be for Wadesboro, but also for, of course, Anson County, and possible some surrounding counties can be involved with that as well. The location of this is going to be, right now we have the opportunity for some land off of Wortham Street, right off Highway 74. And what we're going to have there is we're going to have basketball courts, opportunity for volleyball, pickleball. There's going to be 4 total full courts is what we're projecting. Can be gymnastics, dance, a workout area. Also, we're going to have a walking track area, concessions and seatings, a large room for community activities, media center with computers and printers for those needing to do homework, possible homeschool activities as well. The possibilities are endless with something like this. And when we came a couple years ago, I myself like to shoot basketball, and I was looking for a place, an inside court, and there's none, like zero, public. There are those in the school. So I just started doing some research, and it really became real heavy on my heart that kids and adults, we don't have a place to go shoot ball. We don't have a place to go inside that is a safe place where we can go do all kind of activities. If you don't play sports in high school or with the school system, basically you don't really have a chance to play any sports here in the area. There are a few places to shoot outside basketball and a few places to play baseball, but there are times where there's heavy rains or where there's coldness or it's too hot. So my 3 minutes are up, but I just wanted to come and present that to you. The name of the recreation center, we're going to call it 4U Rec Center. So thank you so much for y'all's time, and I hope y'all have a blessed night. Thank you so much.
All right. At this time, I'd like to ask Attorney Forbes to read the resolution to name the Sheriff Landrick Reed Memorial Bridge, and we'll go ahead and then we'll make a motion of support for that, which I'm sure will be good. So,
Step to the podium so it can be recorded properly.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Resolution to name the Sheriff Landrick Reed Memorial Bridge. Whereas, pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 136-18, subsection 8, the North Carolina Board of Transportation may name roads, bridges, or ferries, and whereas the Anson County Board of Commissioners desires to honor former North Carolina State Trooper, Anson County Sheriff, and dedicated public servant, Sheriff Landrick Reed, by naming the Sheriff Landrick Reed Memorial Bridge. And whereas the bridges are located on Highway 74 East, that's bridge number 3, and west, bridge number 4, that crosses over Lanes Creek prior to entering Peachland Township, Anson County, North Carolina. And whereas the broad vision, leadership, dedication, and commitment to excellence that Sheriff Landrick Reed brought to the citizens and leadership of Anson County, his life's work has touched countless people and will be remembered for generations to come. Therefore, be it resolved that the Anson County Board of Commissioners do hereby request the North Carolina Department of Transportation name Highway 74 East Bridge number 3 and West Bridge number 4 the Sheriff Landrick Reed Memorial Bridge.
Thank you very much. And at this time, if we'd like someone to make a motion.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the resolution to name the Sheriff Landrick Reed Memorial Bridge.
Motion made by Commissioner Woodburn, second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. So we're real thankful that we have the opportunity to have that bridge named that. So now, at this time in our appearances, if Ms. Alatunji could please come forward with the Unison group.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say thank you to Chairman Bricken and the board and the members of the community for allowing us to come and present today. My name is Sinemet Olatunji. I serve as a Regional Impact Manager for My Future NC. And I'm here with the team from Our Future in Unison, and we are going to give you all a brief presentation of the work that we've been doing over the past 2 years. And so if you are not familiar with My Future NC, we are a statewide nonprofit focused on North Carolina's educational attainment goal of having 2 million North Carolinians between the ages of 25 and 44 having achieved an industry value credential or post-secondary degree by 2030. And so for the past two years, we've been working with 15 local education attainment collaboratives representative across 42 counties of North Carolina, one of which is here in Anson County. It is a collaboration between Anson and Union County. And so tonight we are asking the board to fully support our educational attainment initiatives, as well as to adopt the local attainment goal. And so I'm going to yield the rest of my time to the board, to the Unison team, who is going to update everyone as to the work and initiatives that we've been focused on for the past 2 years.
Good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share what Our Future in Unison is doing here in Anson County. My name is Maria Lander, and I'm the project coordinator for Our Future in Unison. As Senator indicated, there is a state goal and also there's a local goal. The Anson County goal is 651 more students attaining a degree or credential of value by 2030. That will be a 16% increase. Our mission is to improve the lives of the members of Anson and Union counties by supporting community education and economic mobility. Our vision is to create a future for all individuals in Anson and Union County. We value equity, innovation, and collaboration. We have a core team which has members of Wingate University, South Piedmont Community College, Union County Public Schools, Anson County Public Schools, and the Anson Library are represented at the core team. And then we have work groups where community members are part of these work groups and help us with our action items and attain our goal. We have the Adult Literacy Group, the Recruitment and Career and College Readiness, Community Connections, and the Labor Labor Market Alignment Work Group. The Adult Literacy Work Group works by improving adult literacy and also with workforce literacy. In this group are representative of South Piedmont Community College Adult Literacy. The 2 public library systems are part of this adult literacy work group. Then we have the Recruitment and Career and College Readiness Work Group that has members from Union County and Anson County schools represented there, the 2 colleges, and they prepare Anson and Union students for success in college and careers. They've been working in increasing FAFSA completion rates and also creating indicators of career and college readiness for both counties. The Community Connection Work Group is, we work with the people of different organizations in Union and Anson County, and we try to connect the resources with the individuals that need them. So we build relationship with with community partners, and several of the organizations like the Department of DSS, Lula is a member, an active member of that work group. And so we work with community members and nonprofit organizations to make these connections. We have been working on creating a website that will make this connection easier for the community. And then we have the labor market alignment group, which aligns labor market in Union and Anson County with the needs of the employer. Right now, they created a ranking of what are the most needed jobs and the job training that these individuals need to join the workforce here in Union County and in Anson County. We have some successes in this last year. We have enhanced community events, like for example, you have the Raising a Reader play, which partnership for children here, and some partnership for children sponsors, and they have a play. We partnered with them, so we had students from K through 5th grade in Anson High School to create a poster, and then we had a competition, and we gave a prize for students that won in their age group here in Anson County to promote literacy. So then we also have increased community awareness, and you have in your package comic book. So we created a comic book to kind of, with Daring Adventures of Captain Unison with College Misconception, to kind of deal with some of the misconceptions that people have about getting certifications or going to college, like finances, maybe, oh, I cannot go or get that certification because I don't have the finances. So it tries to deal with those misconceptions. And then we also have joined the Anson Care Network, which I participate every month in those meetings. And then we have increased the FAFSA completion rate. And also we have a new nonprofit organization that is going to be, Courtney is an Anson resident. She's going to be sharing here what this project is about. So it's coming to Anson and Anson County. So we also are exploring getting the designation of Civic Lab Talent, that is a network of collaboratives that deal with success of students. So now I would like to have Heather Campbell to share about our FAFSA Spring project and what we accomplished and what we achieved with that project.
Okay. Do I get 3 minutes? I'll take 1 minute. So yeah, the FAFSA.
Public addresses to the board.
Excuse me?
You're on the agenda. I apologize. You're on the agenda.
Yeah.
That's for public addresses to the board. It's a different set of rules.
Okay, so for the FAFSA Sprint project, this was something that the Career and College Readiness work group that I'm involved in through Anson County Schools participated. The Anson High School got a $500 or grant through the NC, My Future NC, where they were able to use some of that funds for prizes and actually reward students in drawings for completing the FAFSA. So we did have navigators, which were partnered with a student one-on-one that helped lead this, not only the student, but invited the families in for 2 different occasions where the family got to come in and actually participate in completing that process, because it is a process and it's not an easy one. So so we did provide the expert assistance. We had 25 Anson seniors and their parents that completed, and so over 40 hours of volunteer assistance from we had some from Wingate, SPCC, we had some from Union County, and then Anson County people. So, and then how did you get this to me? And I cannot read that. Can you? Do you know the data right off your? I don't have anything in front of me to read.
Greater than 10%.
Yeah, so yeah, if you look at, and I think you probably have this in your packet, but we did increase the FAFSA rate, yeah, greater than 10%. So from the last year, and Anson County is on the record of being low in completion of the FAFSA. So it does encourage more participation and getting those numbers out.
Hope everybody is having a great evening this evening. Thank you guys for listening to the Unison Collaborative, My Future North Carolina. My name is Courtney Coble. I'm from the Academy of Goal Achievers, founder and chief executive officer. And you can see the bullet points up there. You know, we have impact over 35 young adults' lives. But overall, guys, we are a youth leadership mentoring organization that help high school students and young adults and their parents navigate this thing we call life, while we prepare them for post-secondary education and career pathways. You all in this room know, and just like I know, there's a lot of things that keep young adults and kids from achieving their post-secondary goals that don't have anything to do with the classroom. It's the thing that happen outside that classroom that also can be the biggest barrier to what their academic and career goals are. Right now, for the last, I would say since 2015, we have been serving Anson County students since our inception. I would go, and they was driving from Anson to Charlotte. I would go with this initiative and get closer to home. I'm an Anson native, Burnsville, right here at Miss Carol Smith. You know, I went to Ansonville Elementary, Anson Middle School. My mom did move with my 10th grade. In the 10th grade, we moved to Charlotte. But my part of this puzzle is really provide an opportunity for students that was born and raised where I was, opportunity to open doors. You know, with this last year, we have achieved 94% of our students have reached their post-secondary goals. This year, 100%. Those also include Anson County students. We have students from Anson County right now. I mean, I believe Anson County running Fairfield State University. You know, so we got Fairfield State, we got North Carolina Central, we got South Piedmont Community College. We also is an all pathways organization. So what that means for us as an organization is we just don't look at the 4-year college opportunity. Yes, we expose. So this year, students are part of the Unison group where they get exposed to over 20 college tours, right? We help the students and parents. So our parents and students are getting exposed to 10 leadership development sessions on a monthly basis located at South Piedmont Community College. These young adults will also get access to scholarship funds. Now, when you hear scholarship funds, you think, how are we going to support that? How are we going to increase or decrease the financial gap that it takes to get these credentials? If you go to a vocational trade school and choose not to do it through a community college, you know the FAFSA doesn't cover that. They don't have a Payroll grant to apply for to pay for that. So that's most of the time that's going to come out of pocket. And that's what we're hoping our organization can continue to step in, but just a little closer to my home ground, which is Anson County, right here in Burnsville, that I was born and raised. But this is where really my vision was always to get closer to home and provide these opportunities. This year we gave internal scholarship, almost $100,000 our students got in scholarships from our organization. And right now, that's without, which is benefiting any Anson County students through our annual Carry On campaign package that we do every year. A lot of our supporters, thank you guys for that. If you support the Carry On Care Package campaign that we give out to graduating seniors every year, a lot of those students, this year we did about, the community helped us do, I think, 76 seniors that we gave Carry On Care Packages to, where we fill the carry-ons and fill them up with dorm room essentials. You know, Anson County, this initiative Anson is already supporting. We're supporting, but we're trying to go deeper and make an even more transactional impact beside of our Carry On Care Package campaign. So we just like to be closer to home and hope you guys welcome with warm arms. Thank you.
And one of the things that Courtney didn't mention is that we had our interest meeting. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah.
We had an interest meeting.
Yeah, we had an amazing interest meeting at South Piedmont Community College. Our goal was 25 students. You know, we're right there at our goal too as well, so we're excited about that. You know, right now the location, we had commissioners come out, we had students and families just welcome the new opportunity, because we know there's no really a mentoring post-secondary program that we're going to be coming. Because you're talking about accessibility. Think about a college tour, right? You want to go to college for the first time, and you're driving from Liesville, right? These kids were driving from Liesville to Charlotte, which takes over an hour to get to. Now, that's not going to be the case. It's a more accessible program that we're looking forward to and excited about. And we talked about that at the interest meeting. Students have already gone through the interview process. Family getting emails, if not Friday, Monday, about their acceptance to the program. So, but yeah, the interest meeting went amazing. Like I said, we had it at South Piedmont Community College in Monroe. And we got a little group of great representation from Anson, but if you already know a high school student that can benefit from this program, Anson have seats. So please continue to make referrals. We want to go and exceed our goal.
So I just want to highlight, you know, the power of collaboration, because I met Courtney in my work in Mecklenburg County and learned that she was from Anson and connected her to the union, to our future in Unison. And so what you all have heard tonight is, you know, the power of cross-county collaboration. You're hearing about us increasing FAFSA. FAFSA is just not a K-12 issue, it is a county issue. We brought together several different organizations to support those students. So we're just asking tonight that you all do sign the endorsement that we provided you all, help us to reduce those barriers to educational attainment, and then use your network of influence to help us in this journey of educational attainment. So thank you for you all's time tonight.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would ask if the group, as a team, would be interested in making a motion to sign the resolution of support for the My Future NC attainment goal.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Mims.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Woodburn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously, and we sure thank you all for the program. All right. Now, Tyler Green, please. One thing I'll say right quick while you're setting up, I did go to the meeting in Union County, and the group is called Unison, which is a combination of Union and Anson County, which most of y'all probably figured out what that meant, but there was really good representation from Anson County, so we sure appreciate the work that y'all are doing. And I don't know if my microphone is on or not. I'm sounding kind of quiet. It's on? Okay. All right, so Tyler, we're ready.
Sorry everybody, I planned on having an easel tonight. It didn't work out, but we're gonna make do either way. First of all, I want to say good evening to everybody.
Good evening.
I want to start by thanking you guys for allowing me to speak tonight. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the people I have behind me, the rescue squad, and it means a lot to the community supporters as well. The last time I was here this past fall, a motion was passed to raise our annual allotment by $40,000. This money has been a tremendous blessing for us. With the money, we were able to catch up on falling behind payments of an ambulance that we have remounted. We put it on a new chassis to better serve the community. We were able to raise the start wages by $1, which costed us an additional $17,000 a year. At this time, our paramedics are now making $15 an hour when hired, and our EMTs are making $11 an hour when hired. I believe that's $3 behind on the county EMS, but we're working to build our funds up to get that pace going. We're going to strive to one day have more competitive rates, but like I said, it was a great start for us. We've also been able to purchase new paging equipment for volunteers, and we're in the process of purchasing more as well as some rescue equipment. Gonna hope that doesn't fall. The reason I'm back tonight is simple. We need a new ambulance. Of all 911 calls in giving years past, I was able to work with Anson County 911 to pull some data. Year to year, our rescue squad typically runs 43% of all ambulance calls in the county. The other 57% will be ran by our county EMS. This means that we have 2 ALS ambulances that share that call volume. We rotate crews in and out of those 2 ambulances periodically, and that is what is shared for the 43%. So we do have one full-time unit that runs that is doing the 43%. The other 53% is shared between the 3 units at the Anson County EMS. Unit 202 has about 90,000 miles of use. We've already had to replace the transmission, and we got it sitting on a 2019 chassis. It was a remount. But the unit I'm here to talk to you about tonight is Unit 205. Unit 205 has about 215,000 miles of use and countless mechanical issues and cosmetic wear and tear as it is 13 years old. Just to name a few and to give a few specifications on it, on average we have about 6 patients a day inside of 205 when it is running. Like I said, we rotate it with a different ambulance. 13 years in use. It was a 2010 model. We're on a second transmission. The suspension is worn and is going to need immediate attention. We've actually had some very noticeable issues with that, and that is something that we're going to have to soon take on. We have cosmetic issues, which brings up the point. This ambulance is traveling back and forth to Union County, Mecklenburg County all day. It would be nice to have something that Anson County could be proud to work off of and to show to the other communities around us. We have air conditioning issues. It's not atypical for in the summer for us to not have air conditioning in that unit for a lot of the time. All of our seating is broken. And when I say broken, I mean completely dilapidated, almost hard to sit on. We've actually had to go buy fabric ourselves and rags ourselves and try to stuff the seats in to keep the seats together. And also our Kuzma charging is damaged. We've attempted to fix it multiple times. Lots of times with trucks this old, you can try to fix things and put band-aids on as much as you want to, but it's only going to go so far for us. We're in need of replacing this unit so we can continue to serve the citizens of Anson County effectively without running the risk of being down our second unit. It's become a revolving issue of having one or both of our units at the same time broke down, and we have to scramble to fix the units as soon as possible so we can continue our running operations smoothly. As of now, we do not possess or see us possessing the capital to take on this needed expense. Our goal at one time was to complete payments on Unit 202 and then to look to purchase a second unit, but we are not expected to finish our payments on Unit 202 until late 2024. We also have a loan for new radios we are trying to have paid off, but we've come to realize that replacing 205 is not something that we can keep delaying. I, as the chief, believe that my EMTs and paramedics are in need of a unit that they can better rely on and be proud to work in. This would also allow us to outfit a new unit with a performance loading stretcher. It's a wonderful tool for paramedics and EMTs, and many are probably aware back injuries are the most common injury within the EMS system. I'm actually trying to recover from one over the weekend. Actually, I brought the unit to the government building this past June to show Mr. Sossaman because I wanted to try and help the county understand how serious of a need it is that these units are being paid attention to. The units that I'm speaking of operate for service to any part of the county, so I believe it would be a purchase to benefit every single part of this county, not just one particular area. I recognize that a purchase of an ambulance, if you choose so to take on, would be a very big investment into the rescue squad by the county, but I again want to stress the urgent need for a unit so we can continue to work above and beyond this county's needs. Many of you know I'm very passionate about the rescue squad. I've been a member for 11 years this month, and I've seen the good it has done for this county. So I humbly ask you from the heart that our needs are recognized, and for the sole purpose of being a blessing to not just us as an agency, but as to the community itself. The specifications for the requested unit is attached in my request. I actually spoke to the company today, and the purchase price of a new ambulance, the ambulance that you see in your agenda request, is $196,085. I apologize. The price does include the cost of the stretcher equipment, but these units, when we put them to use, does have the potential to save the county hundreds of thousands of dollars in years by alleviating the need for additional manpower and supply within the county-based EMS system. It's also worth noting that these two ambulances are the most heavily run ambulances in our county. These two ambulances that I have sharing that 43% call volume run harder than any other ambulance in the county. They have to share a lot of workload within a year's time. And just to give you a number, typically on average, when I took the last 4 or 5 years, we run about 2,100 calls a year for the county between those two ambulances. At this time, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I want to thank you for listening to me. And if you have any questions, I'll be free to answer them at this time.
Thank you for your presentation.
And Mr. Green, you say you you have 2 ambulances, is that?
Yes, sir. We have a county contract, of course, with you guys that we sign. I believe it renews every year for up to 3 years, and then we have to convene again and re-sign another contract. So we have 2 what are called advanced life support ambulances, and those are the ambulances that I speak of. The first one, of course, like I said, we remounted and we've done a finance through a finance company. The squad itself is currently paying that off. And we do have a 3rd ambulance, which is actually what is called a basic life support ambulance. It's a larger, much older ambulance. I believe it's a 93 model. We actually just keep that on retainer just in case there's ever like a mass casualty or some kind of incident like that. It's good for like convalescent care and transporting multiple patients at one time to the hospital.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Salzman, as always, continue to review and prioritize our first responder needs and give us some feedback. I appreciate it.
And the chief was right. I did take a look at the vehicle. He drove it over, and I toured it. It's in rough shape. I would like something more comfortable, but I would just ask you tonight, since usually your practice in recent meetings has been to receive requests like this and then defer any action until your next meeting.
That's right.
So your next meeting would be, the clerk will be August, if I'm not mistaken, coming up. If you approve that agenda that's in your package. So I would say defer it to then. That'll give us a chance to look and let you know where or where not it could come from in the budget you adopted a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
All right. Now for appointments for the Anson Ag Advisory Board. There's a request there for an appointment for Mr. Edwards. Is there anyone from the board here tonight? At this time, if we could make a motion to appoint Eddie Edwards from District 4 to the Anson County Advisory Board.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Mims.
Second.
Second by Commissioners Cottle and Commissioner Little Reed. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Okay. Now for administrative matters. We're going to look at the revised board calendar on page 55. Actually, it's on page 56. At this time, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the revised 2023 board calendar?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the calendar.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cottle, second by Commissioner Gatewood. Is there any discussion? On this one, all those in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Thank you. Next, the Paylocity update for what, Attorney Forbes? Is there something in open session we can do, or does this need to be in closed session?
You'd be better off to do it in closed session.
Okay, we'll do that then. And then next, we'll go from there to the GovDeal properties, and I can just go ahead.
If I may, the portion that I need to speak with only has to do with the issues between Paylocity and their ability to serve the county. Any other issues, I'm not sure what other issues might be with the board, so that would be up to the board whether they want to do open session or closed session. Speaking to the issues.
Is there any non-personnel related questions or concerns about the Paylocity that we could update in public? Anyone have a concern to address?
I'll address it. I can agree with Ms. Jackson that I think the personnel should be able to choose what bank of hours they repay the vacation time from. It's their hours. If you turn it into money, it's their money. They can use it how they want to. So let them repay it how they choose. And I've spoke with the manager about it, and I just feel like that should be an option to the employees for them to make the decision. We shouldn't tell the employees what they've got to do. They should be having that option.
I'd agree with that. That makes sense. Makes sense.
So at this time, I guess my concern is if they use the leave, they should be charged for the leave. I don't know if I'm hung up on which particular leave they're charged with either. Attorney Forbes or Manager Salzman, looks like you're getting ready to say.
There are a number of employees, because you all know that there were like 41 affected employees, and most of them, if you allow them to use their sick leave time, can alleviate the deficit that was created by using too much vacation time that really wasn't available. And I'm agreeable with that. As a matter of fact, we've discussed that several times. So I mean, if you want to make a motion to that effect, we can put that. I'm pretty sure, unless my two henchmen here, Miss Berry from Finance, and then Miss Katie Ingram from HR, because we've discussed it, and that was what we were actually going to do, but I think there were some folks that just misunderstood it. But if you got vacation, when you got sick leave time in a bank, and take it out and erase it, and that way you're in good shape. There are, however, that you have to know that there's probably 3, if I remember right, that do not have enough time anywhere to erase that deficit, if you will. So that would be a separate matter that, since you have asked us to stop the process until you have a chance to think about it, and obviously there has been a lot of thought process into it, that if we can use the sick leave to eradicate the deficit over on the vacation side, great. That'll take care of everybody but 3 personnel. And what I would ask is, does the board, since they've been involved in this now for a few weeks, have any kind of recommendation as to what to do with those employees?
Are there any options for those employees? I mean,
one option that's obvious is to take leave without pay, and that's something that will cause small paychecks, if you will. If somebody's, you've got essentially 10 days for working, and if a person's out a day or 2 for whatever reason, then that's going to affect their take-home pay, as well as their other options that are in their paycheck.
I was thinking something other than taking time off without pay, if it's at all possible to work out something.
I've heard some. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you, but I've heard some suggestions that as those employees that had the deficit sitting there, they can't take, they can start earning, as you mentioned at the last meeting, they'd start earning vacation time, as all employees do, at whatever their level is. And then I've heard some folks say, well, let half of it stay in their vacation bank and half of it go toward diminishing that deficit, if you will, or reducing that deficit. Then I've heard some say, forgive the deficit period and start all over again from scratch.
I didn't say that.
Mr. Salzman, go ahead.
One question I have for the attorney: in our county policy, are we allowed to substitute sick leave for annual? If someone's on vacation, can they use sick leave if it has nothing? I mean, there's some government agencies where sick leave, you can use annual leave for sick, but there's some government agencies where you can't use sick leave for annual. Do we have any limitations there?
I apologize, I do not know the answer to that question. I did not know. Maybe HR could help me bail me out on this one. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board. In our policy, sick leave is dedicated for sick leave purposes, but one of the concerns that a lot of employees have with our rollover at the end of the year, anything over 240 hours does go into sick leave. So if you technically let them use that rollover, you're pretty much using the vacation that wasn't deducted, and that's where the concern is coming from, because it's in their sick leave. It's just vacation that wasn't deducted.
As long as the policy allows, or you're clarifying that it does?
Yes, sir. If you're taking the rollover time, not just the regular sick leave, but if you're taking that rollover time, it's actually the vacation time that was in there to start with. That wasn't deducted.
240.
Yes, sir. Anything that was over 240 was added to their sick time. And for most of those employees, that would cover that deficit.
Would it be possible, since the 3 candidates that are being concerned, could we vote on the rest of them tonight and then hold off, table the 3, because that may take a little more thought process? Is that something that would be possible?
That would be up to the board, because of what you're doing. The attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're making an exception to the policy to a degree, and so you're the one. The board actually adopts that personnel ordinance or personnel policy, if you will. So if you want to modify it, you can, and we can allow us to do that. But I mean, that to me, that's a great solution that takes care of most of the situation.
Because there's 38 people that probably need an answer as soon as they can, and there's 3 that we may have to hold off on.
That's the personnel ordinance, correct?
Yes, sir, the personnel
It's
ordinance.
not a personnel policy. So it's an ordinance. and
So we'd have to
ordinance
change
is
it.
law. So there's a procedure to overdo that if y'all want to do that. But you would have to make a motion, and then if it passes tonight, that's fine. If it does not, then it would have to be tabled for 30 days, and then it'd be a majority. But it has to be 100% passes tonight if it's going to pass.
Can the ordinance cover prior activity, or would it only cover from then on? Because sometimes an ordinance won't allow you to change something that already happened. It only allows you to do things in the future. So is there any concern with that?
If we can write it retroactive, but that'd be a question for Attorney Forbes.
Can it?
What I understand, this is a correcting of a mistake.
Okay.
From Paylocity. Therefore, it would not be. It is something that has happened. However, the remedy of it is handling something that was not planned for by in the ordinance. I don't believe this doesn't specifically apply in the ordinance, does it?
No, sir, because this has never happened before.
I believe that's one of
to
our.
this level, anyway.
As I understand the issue, that's one of our. That's one of the contentions. It's not something that's already contained in the ordinance. Therefore, if you want to change how it is handled, that is proper. You can do that. You can allow, because this is a situation that the ordinance had not calculated it to do that.
So would the board like to make a motion that all but the 3 that we change the ordinance to allow the transferring of the sick leave or annual, as long as they pick which one they want, and then we'll hold off on those 3 to table? Is that possible?
If we go ahead and make a decision on the other 3 tonight, do we have to change the ordinance?
It has to be done for all. The ordinance has to be applied equally to everyone. So I want to make sure I understand exactly what we're talking about doing, and I can answer. This is something new. So we're speaking that everyone's in the same. Every one of the 41 people are in the same situation, whereas they have overextended their vacation time. Now we're trying to remedy that, how they can pay that back, or whether they can charge it against either their vacation time or their sick leave. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we have 3 people that cannot. Is that correct?
That's what you've told us.
Okay, well that's what I understand.
Yeah.
I understand there's 3 people.
Yes,
that
that's correct.
cannot. I don't know how to remedy something that they're not able to do under those 2 circumstances. There needs to be some type of third alternative to allow that.
My suggestion is that they start earning the time, just like Mr. Woodburn said last meeting, and they meet with the manager, meet with the HR, they prorate how many ever hours they can afford to give away or give back until they get their debt paid. In other words, if you go to the bank and overdraw, the bank ain't gonna say, we just forgive you. They're gonna say, okay, you start making a payment plan to get you back in the good. So that's what I would expect.
That is acceptable.
And they're
treating everyone with that same. Everyone is having that same opportunity to pay back in that method. Is that correct? It seems like that.
Yes, if you have the hours already in your bank, that automatically subtracts back whichever bank they prefer to pull it from. That automatically corrects their balance. If they did not have a balance in their bank, then they have to agree with the manager or the HR department. However, how many ever hours they can afford to pay back in a reasonable amount of time, and that would be deemed reasonable by the manager or the HR.
And I guess they would just have to go on leave without pay while they're earning their time back.
Well, they would still be accruing time. So in other words, if they accrue 8 hours and they can pay back 4 hours every period, that's what the manager and the HR would.
Not too complicated, but what you're saying is very feasible. However, you're going to be setting an ordinance or a policy that will allow for this in the future if someone chooses to overextend their vacation time or their sick leave.
Well, we're not going to make this mistake again, are we?
What I mean is, not intentionally. What I'm concerned with is we need to put some type of language in there that would prevent someone from purposely choosing to do that. Just say, well, I'm going to, not that anyone would do it, but you have to calculate these things. Someone potentially could say, well, I only have, I don't know, 30 hours, but I need 40 hours for the whole week. Well, I'll do that and then pay it off next year. So you need to make sure that it sounds like that might be allowed in the future unless we get some other language on policy. And I have to come up with that. I just want to paint a picture on every scenario that could come.
Can we, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add to it, but if you're looking at it from the perspective of correcting a previous error, then that's what you're doing now. You're not setting something prospective, like looking at it in the future to allow people to use vacation in arrears and then allow them to use something else. You're not, unless you make a motion to do that tonight.
No.
We need to have language that would specifically stop someone from purposely going over. We need to direct that when a person does not have that time, that their supervisor would not approve it. And that would prevent what we were talking about on purposely doing it. That was what I meant.
I would think that would already be a statement or a fact that you can't approve time that you don't have.
There is language in there that it has to be approved. So the supervisors, what the issue was, we didn't know that people were going in negative. Right. So there is language in there that the time does have to be approved by the supervisor. But since we have the measures in place now, the supervisors and the employees can see the time that they have. And if you want to add something in this specific situation, as far as how we're going to correct any errors, and if something like this happens again, how we will correct those errors, we can do that.
With due respect, we had people that knew they did not have the time, and they continued to take the time. And I don't, and the ordinance did not address that. I want to make sure it doesn't happen again, or that this ruling that they're doing now addresses that if it does.
But that's why I think we should just leave it alone. They go on leave without pay for the ones that need to take off that don't have leave. Because if we start changing this thing around, suppose somebody just goes in the hole and then for whatever reason, then they say, okay, well, now I can do whatever it is in this new ordinance. But the policy always worked until now. So if the three people that are in debt just go on leave without pay until they earn it back to where they can take leave again, that would be my suggestion. The people that use the leave, they get charged the leave, and the ones that went over, they go on leave without pay until they earn it back. Does anybody agree with that?
Well, I do have a question, because the way that we understood from the last meeting, we took the time from their vacation. We didn't know it was an option to take it from their sick. So now, instead of 3 people not having vacation time, you have 6 people. Because we had to take it from vacation, where if they would have had the option to pull from their sick, they wouldn't have went in the negative.
Because it's been such a short time frame, I don't know how many people have taken off. Is there a way to recalculate that? I mean, because it's been happening for, what, 30 days?
I can always recalculate, but we do have some that would still use the time, and that's kind of why I think we want to make a decision.
Give the option. I apologize. If you give the option, would that not? I'm not trying to step on your meeting, sir.
No, we need you to do it.
If we calculate the option and give them the option, that would give everyone the option in the same situation. So I believe that will be fair and equitable.
Yes,
and I think that would comply.
Can we not add that if in an emergency, if the 3 that's in the negative needs emergency leave, that they can get leave from other employees? But I'm talking about for this situation here.
If you change the shared leave policy, but you can do that if you want to change that policy.
Because that's only used for emergencies, like when you go FLA or something like that.
Talking about for the sick time?
Mm-hmm.
Shared leave.
Mm-hmm.
Shared leave, yeah.
That's just a question.
And that's if someone donates, because sometimes we get donations, sometimes we don't.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, there's not really an easy way to address those. I think we were talking about 3, and all of a sudden it went to 6. So however many it is, there's it doesn't sound like there's an easy way to address those 6 people that's kind of fair and equitable with everybody else. It doesn't sound like. I mean, that's basically what we need to try to figure out now, so that we can go ahead and put something in place.
And I do have some employees that has been reaching out since some decisions been made. My phones have been ringing off the mine and Gala's. But a lot of concerns that the employees, they have no problem with paying the time back, but they do have an issue if you do forgive the time for those that exceed it. So that's one of their big concerns. And then the fact that they won't give them the option to choose where the time comes
I got a
from.
problem with that too.
I absolutely have a problem with that.
So that's the big concern. They don't mind paying it back, but
Mhm.
they think it should be fair for everyone.
I agree.
So, Ms. Ingram, as our HR manager, what is your recommendation on how we should resolve this issue?
I think we should do how we did before, because we had this issue with our emergency services where their time wasn't deducted, and we took the time back. Thankfully, they did have the time to cover. This is the first time we had an error of this magnitude, and people didn't have the time to cover it. But what we was going to do, because it was such a large error, we was going to work with those employees and give them the option to pull from their sick time, COVID time, you know, give them other options, or work with leave without pay, because again, it wasn't an error that was clearly, that could be determined, like with the EMS situation, they could see that it wasn't deducting from that second bank. So unless someone was really paying attention to their time, there was no way the average person could tell. And I don't feel like we should punish, you know, everybody for the few that did know, because there were some that did know, but everybody didn't know.
So
I
three.
think, yeah, I think we should work with the employees.
The three that's in the hole. Do we have any more COVID time? Do they have any COVID time?
But it's 6 now though, right? 6 in the hole.
Well, it's 6 now, but the 3 initially, 2 of them don't have COVID time. One of them, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know 2 of them don't. And then those 2 also don't have any rollover time, because they don't have enough time in either bank to cover what they use. But the other ones, they do, the other 3. It will allow them to use it from their sick time.
So
And
if
then I have, go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but what I'm thinking right now, and I got to do it while I'm while it's halfway clear in my mind. I thought I heard you say that there's a way to get with everybody and work it out with each one.
Yes, sir, we can do that if the board allows us to. That's what we were trying to do before, you know, work with everyone, because like I have this other employee, her issue is she, again, doesn't mind paying the time back, but because we took it from vacation, instead of letting her use that rollover, you basically took the time that she used last year from this year's time, so she would normally have around 100 hours, but now she only has 40 hours because we took both time out from this year's thing.
Okay.
So
Because my thinking was the urgency, because what I was hearing, and maybe I was misunderstanding, was that people knew that they didn't have it, but because we wasn't on top of it, they could take it anyway.
Yes, so that was still happening.
So, and that was the thought process. We got to shut this thing down and get a handle on it and get it corrected. But now, if you're saying that now that we are aware of it and it can be fixed, you just have to get with each individual employee to do that. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know about the rest of the board, because
Because yes, we've already fixed it. So in when you look in Paylocity now, what shows in Paylocity is what their true vacation is, unless you give them credit from them offset with the sick. So except for the 6 employees, so 3 of we're gonna be in the negative anyway, and now you have 3 others that now have a 0 balance, because instead of giving them that option to take it from their sick time, they're now at a 0 balance of their vacation, but they would have had it in their sick time.
In the sick time, okay.
But what if the board were to just ask Mr. Salzman to work with personnel and you all figure it out? Is that possible? We could trust you all to decide.
I'm with Miss Ingram. I know she and I can work on it, and we'd love to get it resolved as quickly as possible. And I'm sure you would, and I'm sure all the employees would too.
Does that sound like a option for the board, that we trust the manager and the personnel to come to a conclusion, and then we can move?
I do. I mean, basically, I heard the thing that I was concerned about. We're on top of it now. It is corrected.
Yes, sir.
And it's just a matter now of addressing it with each individual employee, how that employee wants to do it, and I'm good with that.
How they want to equal their balances out. Yeah.
I just have one question. When it changed to 6, the 6 employees, 3 of them still have time. It's just that you move the time around. One of their banks are negative.
Yes, sir. Because
So we'll have 3 employees that don't have any time once you deduct all this out. It's still just 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Would the board like to make a motion to allow Mr. Salzman and personnel to remedy the situation?
I'd make that motion, yes.
Mr. Woodburn makes a
Second.
motion, seconded by Commissioner Mims and Commissioner Gatewood and Commissioner Cottle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one other question. You know, we got in this situation over 18 months.
Yeah.
It's been horrible for employees affected, other employees, and for this board. I'd like to hear from Ms. Ingram, what steps have we put in place to make sure this never happens again?
So when Holly and I process payroll, we have some check and balances in place. And one thing that we do check is like when people use time off. Now we can't look at each employee, all of them, because it's like over 300 employees when we process in time. But what we do, we just kind of like spot check one here and there, and just making sure that the balances are deducted. And then one thing that we're going to also start doing is anytime we make changes, is kind of like spot check here and there, just to make sure that things are being deducted and added as they should. We're only human, and we trust the system to do what it does. So we're trusting that everything is corrected based on what Paylocity has told us what the error was, and then we also have those check and balances as well for when we run payroll to kind of double check, spot check, someone here and there that if they use time that it did deduct from their bank.
Thank you.
Attorney Forbes.
Isn't it part of the policy for time off or sick leave that has to be approved by the supervisor or the department head? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. They have to submit the time off request, and then usually the supervisor or department head, whoever has that supervisor access to approves it.
In the leave request, will the supervisor always have access to the balance to see whether or not the person's got enough time that they're requesting?
As far as I know, they do, but if they don't, because everyone has different supervisor levels, so for those who don't, if they just give us a call if they can't see something, then we can just update their access to where they can see or tell them what the balance is. And then there's another thing with Paylocity, it won't let you take negative time off. So if they are in the negative when we get ready to do a run, it's going to flag it on our end, and I also shouldn't let them do it because it's going to put them in the negative as well.
And that's what it wasn't doing with this, with the those 18 months?
Because it wasn't deducted, so to the system they had the time.
They had the time, okay.
So that's why it didn't flag, because the system thought they had the time.
Yeah.
Is it one supervisor per one person supervisor per employee? It wouldn't be a chance where you could shop a supervisor.
No.
Because it all depends on how they have this, because every department's set up different, but in theory, no.
That way you have a supervisor that will be aware of all the requests.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's a good checks and balance. That's why I want that was in the ordinance. I want to make sure of that. Thank you, man.
Like shopping for judges. All right.
Just one other question though is you said spot checking every time payroll runs. Is there a percentage of people that you'll look at as far as?
Just kind of randomly select. We just pick some from like sheriff, jail, EMS, and then just randomly look at the time off. Like right now with the COVID leave, I'm gonna kind of spot check to see like the balances and stuff, because we trust the reports to do what they're supposed to do. But like when I was working on the report yesterday with the COVID leave, the report didn't bring some of the people who brought me their vaccination last week, so I had to go in and manually do that. That's one reason we try to do those spot checks, just to make sure that we are including everybody.
Okay,
It
yeah.
takes a little while sometimes to do everything because we want to make sure that we are getting it right.
Yeah, I understand. I was just wondering if say you got 300 employees, are you gonna check 3 or 4? You're gonna check 25 or 30? That's kind of what I was asking you.
Use about a handful, maybe like 5. I usually check about maybe 3 or 4. How many do you normally check?
We just make sure we check every classification, if they're exempt or non-exempt, because that's where it's going to happen at.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ingram.
Thank you. All right. I was just going to mention on Gov Deals, if anybody's interested, there's 6 Anson County properties that are on there now. If anybody's interested in bidding, you just go to Gov Deals and you bring it up, and then in the search you put Anson, and it'll show the 6 properties that are available now for purchase. So I just want to make sure that everybody was aware of that. And at this time, if we could have the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just about 3 or 4 things tonight. SPCC tomorrow's having an event with Blue Cross Blue Shield and also ED North Carolina, which just stands for Education North Carolina. I'm going to be involved in that. It's going to be dealing a lot with education in North Carolina. You've heard from Unisom tonight, but I think this is going to probably try to zero in on mental health issues here in our area. And also, it'll probably spread out into some of the other ones. So we've got that happen tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, the next day after tomorrow, we've got the Hometown Strong, which is part of the governor's office. We've been putting together a presentation because it's my understanding that their team will be about 15 or so involved to come learn more about our issues here in Anson County and what the governor's office can do to help us resolve some of them. So hopefully it's a multitask course, if you will. I'll tell you, we've had 3 employees that have been recognized by their peers as employees of the quarter. 2 are from IT, that would be Dwayne McCoy and Barry Malcolm. The other is Greg Cox from the Sheriff's Office. So we usually do 3. And then the Axe building, last but not least, a couple weeks back, or a week and a half back, I guess it was, on the 29th of June, Miss Bird and I met with D.H. Griffin, with David Griffin and Philip Newton there, and we went over where they are today in this design build process. They had the rudiments, if you will, of the package itself, but without all the details relative, like window placement, outlet placement, where we thought desk would go, those types of things, carpet versus hardwood or some engineered flooring. So we went through that. Should have had Commissioner Reed, because she probably has better taste than what I do, but from a decorating standpoint. But we looked at countertops, built-in shelves, lockers, because obviously our drivers are in and out and they have to change. So we're trying to make it. We learned a little bit about a project that we looked at a couple months ago, about having lockers available for in and out dressing, so it makes it more convenient for our drivers, as well as, and if it's more convenient for them, then in theory it's going to be more convenient for the passengers that ride with those drivers. We're going to go back and take our suggestions on about 25 different topics and put those into play, and then Ms. Bird and I'll have another meeting with them. I've had a commissioner or two say, well, I might want to sit in on one of those too. And I'm not saying you can't do that. Sort of kind of like all hands on deck. Different set of eyes might help us in terms of making this building something. Where it's going to go, over on South 52, next to the annex building, and we're going to try to make it the exterior look as much as possible like that sort of blend in with the current annex building, and not be something that would like a sore thumb.
Okay.
I'd be glad to try to answer any questions.
At this time, if there's no questions for the manager, then we would go on to commissioner concerns, starting with Commissioner Little.
Could you pass this down, please? Need another one. Mr. Chair, fellow commissioners, Mr. Sossaman, and Attorney Forbes, I have received an overwhelming number of calls, texts, emails, and a petition that I just gave to each one of you, with over 100 names from the county employees concerning the decision made by the county's employees' raises. The employees are upset, disappointed, and want to know, how can you give 4 departments 12.5% raise and the other employees only get 2.5? They also want to know how this number was justified, and who are the people responsible for accepting this proposal. This is nothing against the sheriff's department, I promise you, but I believe in doing stuff across the board. If you're gonna give a raise, don't give four departments 12.5 and then get all the other employees 2.5, because you're gonna, just like Miss Lula and Pastor McLeod said, you're gonna have disgruntled employees. They're gonna get to the point where they don't want to work. They're gonna start looking outside the county, and it's not. And I know the sheriff is short-handed, but they're not the only one that's short-handed in the county. It's other departments are also short-handed. And I believe we should be fair across the board. If the people responsible who are less taking all the employees into consideration and make sure that the raises would benefit everybody and not just 4 departments. Because to each department is short, and that put more responsibility on all staff, not just, and I know it does the same for the sheriff, but all the other departments that are short, they have to take on more responsibility also. DSS just had a child And it's getting consistent with having a child where they have to do a 24-hour where somebody has to be there with the child all the time because they can't leave the child there by itself. And I know the sheriff office is constantly doing something. When somebody, a mental health patient is committed, they have to stay out there with them. But it's everybody across the board. You just can't give that much percentage to 4 departments and not consider everybody else. I'm not through. I know that sheriff offices are an important part of the county, but that doesn't mean that the other employees are less important. With that being said, please take time to re-examine your decision you made about the raises and come to a better offer for all the county employees. And I just have, I would like to ask a question to Miss Holly. Who came up with this percentage? Because I got the email on June 23rd, and I had just got back from vacation, wasn't working. I got an email, and it shows the percentage that we was getting. So I just want to know who came up with the percentage.
When y'all approved the recommendation for the reclassification,
Mm-hmm.
I asked for clarification from Mr. Sossman.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sossman indicated it was 10%, then plus the 2.5.
Who did that?
He told me what it meant, what it represented, so he can speak on behalf of where he got.
Was there a committee or was there other people involved with making this decision?
Reorganization that was presented to me would have been more than the 10% that was on top of the 2.5% COLA that the board said they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I discussed it with Ms. Berry, I asked her, and she looked at it, and I said, so from the perspective that I'm getting, what we need to do is to round it down to 10% as opposed to the higher number that would have been a total reorg of the Office of the Sheriff's employees.
Okay, so were any of the county commissioners involved with this decision?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell me who it was? Because it wasn't me. I just got the information when I got back from vacation.
If you'll remember, you're going back to whenever the board had its workshop, and I think just about everybody said the emphasis was on law enforcement, public safety, those types of things. So in meeting with some of the commissioners, one of them one-on-one and then a couple of them together, they indicated that what they would like to see is more emphasis given on law enforcement getting a higher COLA, if you will, or adjustment. And as I said, that came out to a reorg that was being worked on by the sheriff for his 4 areas, if you will.
Is that fair to all the employees? Because I don't know nothing about that meeting.
Me either.
Well, if you'll recall, when we had the workshop, I asked, any commissioner that was a mind to meet with Miss Berry and even Miss Ingram and myself to talk about the budget and the different areas. 4 commissioners availed themselves of that opportunity.
Can we have the names?
Well, obviously you didn't, and Commissioner Commissioner Woodburn didn't, and my friend here who said he'd like to have the names said he didn't. So the other 4 would be Commissioner Gatewood and Commissioner Bricken and Caudle and Mills.
But we didn't meet in violation of the quorum rule. We met with you either one-on-one or two-on-one.
Correct.
No, we didn't say that. I didn't say you met with them. I was just wondering who came up with the percentage to give them that much, and then the other committees, other departments just get 2.5.
We were looking at the sheriff's recommendation made.
Well, Ms. Lula had a recommendation.
I think the approach that was taken, Commissioner, is that it's almost like, I guess, not building a house but remodeling a house. If you've only got X number of dollars, and that's what they looked at since the emphasis back at the retreat, if you will, the workshop we had on the budget, the emphasis was on public safety, law enforcement. So let's start there, and then next year we'd have to take a look, because not only did Ms. Jackson put in a request, but also a couple other departments did. Others that were done, if you remember, Ms. Jackson referenced that meeting when we had members from the local government commission as well as the North Carolina County Commissioners Association, and they all recommended, 2 new employees, a purchasing person as well as a finance / budget journalist for the finance department. They also recommended that others in the future. So we know those were approved by the board at that meeting. The board also has discussed, since I've been here, I guess about 10 months or so, that we need another building official for Mr. Gaskins, who was our chief building inspector, because he's probably 3 years plus or minus away from being able to retire, and it takes probably 3 years to get somebody through all of those certification processes. That was approved, and so those are some of the employees that were approved.
And we approved 2 new finance office employees.
And also Ms. Jackson's department, if you'll recall, at a previous
got the Medicaid
meeting,
expansion.
They're getting, because of Medicaid expansion, which is going to be additional duties, the 5 additional employees.
With office space to house those employees.
Yeah.
That's on our dime.
Where is the where did the money come from?
That money, which when put on the amount that was in my original budget draft, I think my original budget draft was about $6.1 or $2 million coming out of fund balance. This amount that's been approved here, not just all for the sheriff's office, but those other couple involved, that was tacked on top of it. So now about $8 million is coming out of fund balance.
Do we know exactly how much is in fund balance?
No, ma'am.
But we're going to take $8 million out of it?
That's why my original recommendation, if you will, was for $2 million or so less than that amount. If you'll remember, going back to when the local government...
That's bad, all the employees.
Well, I didn't say it was fair. I mean, I understand. If I'm a human being too, so if I had my rathers, I'd rather have 12.5 than 2.5.
Right.
I mean, it's just like if you offered me a cake and said, "Linda, you want a slice or you want the whole cake?" I might say, if the opportunity's there, I'll take the whole cake.
Can it not be re-examined and then give the other employees a little bit more?
You can do that. I'd like to take a little closer look at it with Miss Berry and from how much we have. Because at any point in time, you can, in theory, come and amend it. Well, you do budget amendments all the time.
Okay.
You just did as the last week of the month when you approved the budget for this year. Since we were close to closing out last year's budget, you approved probably 24 budget amendments at one time, if I remember right. Yeah.
So can we look into that?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. If this board would like us to, we'd definitely do that.
It's up to y'all.
I'm not opposed to it, since I made the motion to do the 2 changes that the one in particular that you're talking about, but I'm not opposed to the county manager and Ms. Berry re-looking at it and see if there's anything possible that could be done for the other employees. And I'll make that in the form of a motion too.
Second.
I have a motion made by Commissioner Woodburn, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion?
I would just like to point out that just because the sheriff's department got a raise this year, nowhere in the language of that raise did it say this is the last raise ever that will be given to county employees.
And we know that. That's not the point I'm trying to get over to you. The point is,
so next year,
12 point and then 2.5. If you was working for the county, you probably would be mad too.
I'd love to have a 2.5% pay increase on my wages.
Well, join us. We need you. Please join us. We need you.
Typically for the last several years, it's been our history that somewhere along the line, usually the first of the year, when we go back and revisit it, and I think we give them some pretty substantial COLAs at that time too. So,
and as we talked today, our next audit is scheduled to be completed by the end of the year. We will have a clearer picture as to what's in our fund balance that will maybe allow us to make another raise at that point to some other departments that did not receive the raise this time.
So you seeing everybody else to get a raise that didn't get that 12.2?
We're definitely going to look at it. I'm not saying everybody will, but we'll definitely look at it.
But you can't keep going back giving certain people raises. You got to do it across the board. That's not right. And I'm just speaking for myself. That's not right to keep going giving certain people raises and everybody else not get it. You got to look at the employees. who's coming here. We got the water department. When something busts, they have to get out at night too and go fix that pipe.
I agree, and that was one of my priorities when we met in February. Was the infrastructure repairs of this county is a priority, and I want to support the water department.
Okay, just like I told you about DSS, when they have a child to come in, they have to go around the clock, 24 hours. Somebody have to be there with the child.
I understand. And that's a priority, and we'll address that priority.
When?
Once we know a clearer picture of the fund balance.
But you don't know the clear picture of the fund balance, but you're given a 12.5% raise. Does that make sense?
We took a risk to invest in the local law enforcement that protects every citizen, that protects everybody in this room, in this county, and we took a risk on that.
I understand that. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate you. I'm not talking against you. I'm just talking for the whole county in effect, because it's a lot of people out there mad because they only getting 2%. And if the shoe was on the other foot, and the other county was getting, other county employees was getting 12.5, and they only got 2.5, do you not think they would be mad?
I'm sure they would be.
Okay, then that's all I'm trying to say. It needs to be equal. If you're going to do something, do it across the board. You're not sure what's in the fund balance in the first place, so why not just take a risk and give everybody a decent raise? Let me put it like that, a decent raise, not just a 2.5. That's all I'm saying. If you're going to do it across the board. And I'm through.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Well, we got a motion and a second on the floor, I thought.
I thought you said you had a question.
I didn't say call for the question.
Oh, okay. I was just waiting for everybody to start to be done. The discussion is over then. I mean, I'll just throw my 2 cents worth into the discussion. The public safety, like I've said in meetings in the past, is my number one concern. It's the number one concern of the citizens that have talked to me about what they're concerned about. And I'm very happy that we have brought some more funding to try to fully fund the sheriff's office. Although it's still not fully funded, they're better funded. And the amount of salary savings that they had because of the underfunding that they had as far as how much their deputies were making and their retention and recruitment that was going in such bad shape to keep people in Anson County to work, they have maybe Miss Berry could tell, how much do we have left over from the year 23 from salary savings in the sheriff's office because we weren't able to keep anybody? Could you let us know that, please?
I can get that information for you. I haven't looked.
And it's at least $300,000, I would say, right?
Honestly, I have not looked.
Okay, so I mean, we have an enormous amount of salary savings from the sheriff's office because of our recruitment and retention failures and able to pay them enough to keep them in the county. And if they come to work for the county, they go through the training, we pay all the money to train them, and then when they get out, the first county that offers them $7,000 or $8,000 more a year, they're gone. So in order to have deputies in the county, we have to pay at least somewhere close to what the other counties are paying, or else we're not going to be able to do it. Right now, we only have, 2, maybe 3 at the most deputies on the road at any one time. Is that correct, Sheriff Howell? 2 deputies in the whole county. And look at the size of our county. I mean, I have no problem with what we voted for, and we voted unanimously on this. So whatever anybody's thinking, we voted unanimously on this raise, and I'm happy that we did it.
Okay, let me piggyback off of that right there.
I want to make sure something's clear. I didn't vote for it.
Let me piggyback off what you just said, sir. They're not the only one. I keep telling you, they're not the only one short-handed. DSS been saving money because they have a revolving door over there because they can't keep help. We got a supervisor getting ready to retire. We already short 2 in CPS. So for that matter, if you don't give them the whole 12%, all you had to do was just give them a little bit more than 2.5. That's all that was. I'm not telling you to take that from them. Just give the other people a little bit more money. That's all I'm asking. Do they deserve it? Yeah, they deserve it. But everybody else deserves something a little bit more than 2.5. Okay, I'm through this.
Is there any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, what is the motion?
The motion is to have the county manager and finance director relook at the increase of the COLA for the other employees and see what, if anything, could be done at this point. And that was his suggestion they offered, and I put it in the form of a motion.
And to clarify, they're not, in the motion is not to defund any of the funding that we've given to the sheriff's office. It's only to look at increasing the other funding. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
I don't want it decreased.
Okay, so at this time, we have a motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. The motion passes to review the potential of funding raises for other departments. Okay,
And that will be all other employees, not, we're not gonna pick and choose.
that's
All other
right.
employees.
All right. Now, Commissioner Caudle.
So in our packets, we have a solid waste management ordinance. At our budget meeting last month, we discussed increasing the hazmat fees charged to incidents of spilling byproducts on our highways in our county. It's my understanding that we are not assessing the hazmat fees, we are assessing fees associated with the solid waste ordinance. So it's my recommendation, I'd like to make it a motion that we look at amending our solid waste ordinance so we can increase the fees on the companies responsible for spilling the byproducts on our roads multiple times.
I have a question.
Okay.
If that's you said they're making an ordinance,
It already is an ordinance.
but what's gonna make them force them to pay it?
Well, in here there's already a fee schedule for all repeat offenders at $200 per offense. So I suggest that we amend that and start charging more.
Have they been paying it?
To my knowledge, they have. I don't. Mr. Manager, do you know?
About Miss Berry, so those folks that love to spill byproducts, whatever they are, on our highways and roadways in our county, it's my understanding they are paying it.
Do we, Attorney Forbes, do we have the authority to increase?
This is our own ordinance. You have the authority to change your ordinance. The proper procedure for changing your ordinance is that a motion can be made tonight. If it is unanimously passed, it can be changed. If it is not, then it needs to sit for there's a time frame, 30 days or more, until the next regular scheduled meeting, if that is 30 days, and then it will be simple majority to pass that ordinance to change it. That will be given the same dignity in which it was enacted. Thank you.
So do you have those particulars?
I don't think that we should set the numbers tonight. I think we should look at the ordinance and see what else may need to be amended, because the last time this was, I guess, amended was 2006.
I'll be more than happy to get some examples from other counties and things of that nature. Down towards Pitt County, I spoke with some people there. They are doing the same thing. I'd like to kind of piggyback off some of their research.
So we would table this till the next meeting when you research that?
Yes, once we have some more information provided by the attorney.
Okay. Is that good with everyone?
That works.
Okay. We'll continue to look into increasing the violation fines. Okay. So at this time, since I don't know of any reason to go into closed session unless someone,
I think,
because I think we got it all out of the way now that Mr. Salzman and Ms. Ingram are going to take care of that.
I thought, Mr. Forbes, do you not have something to discuss with Paylocity and?
Not tonight.
Okay.
There's a recorded phone call and some evidence I have requested, have not received that yet. As soon as we do, I'll have more to give you.
Okay.
Okay. So if there's no other matters on the agenda for tonight, Mr. Woodburn?
It's not a matter, just for information. I did attend the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Executive Committee meeting on, the Board of Directors meeting, I'm sorry, a couple of weeks ago, and they're still saying that they can provide help. They're a resource for all counties, and if we've got something that we would like for them to look at or to help us with, they're more than happy to do that. And then also on the 28th of this month, Central Carolina, we're having another Advancing the Plan Steering Committee meeting, and once we do that, whatever information comes out, I'll pass that along.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Woodburn. All right, at this time, would there be a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion made by Commissioner Little.
Second.
Second by Commissioners Woodburn and Caudle and Mims. All those in favor say aye.